AI did not make this. Heyo, this is Matt, and we are going to be looking at this Castle Dungeon Diorama and how I made it and how you can make it. My main inspiration for this was Skyrim, Elden Ring, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. You get the vibe. I'm far from the best or the most experienced diorama maker, but over the years, I have learned a lot. I do believe that anybody can make a diorama. I honestly believe that you can make a diorama. So for this video, I'm going to be making another wall that's going to have this extra floor piece that I made that connects here. It's gonna be pretty much exactly the same process, same colors that I used to put this together. My goal for this video is for you to see the process, for you to see the results, and hopefully be inspired to create something bigger because you know how to get started. This is the XPS foam piece that we're gonna be using. It's the 1/4 inch thick. I just buy a huge sheet of it at Home Depot. I do also use the inch thick version sometimes. The part for carving the stones is pretty much exactly how I do the bricks, like for a brick wall, like I've done these. The main difference is that they're not going to be perfectly straight. So there does need to be some structure to it. At least I wanted some structure to it. I didn't want to just draw like a bunch of circles or something like that. So I did keep, just like my technique for bricks, I did keep it straight. So the horizontal lines are going to be straight. And so I'm just thinking if I was a castle wall maker, I would want to get pieces that were mostly straight and horizontal to help keep some structure and not just be completely random. So with that, I'm not spacing these out evenly. If I was doing bricks, you know, you would want them all exactly the same distance apart. I just want to give some variety to them. So now for bricks, this is where I would measure a certain distance. I think I've used 0.75 inch for the width of a brick, I think, or 1/2 inch, I forgot. I think 1/2 inch. Or like go down the line and then, you know, mark skipping the rows to get the alternating bricks. But we're not doing that. We're going to mix it up a lot. I'm still gonna kind of use this, but not really. I'm gonna do some like this just to get started. I do feel like it's a little bit faster. And then I'm gonna go in to fill in the empty spaces, you know, kind of skipping every now and then. Let's go down. I'm moving it. This isn't even like lined up perfectly. It's not really that straight. Yes, they kind of look like bricks, but we're about to make them not look like bricks. So one of my goals, I don't know if it's the right mindset or not, is making them round. And so we're gonna go back and cut these, but for some of these hand ones, I'm already gonna start kind of making that like rounded cut. I'm gonna do another line just going across here. One way I've also seen this done before is using paintbrush without the bristles, like an old one that you kind of might be damaged. And so you just take out all the little bristles and you have that metal piece that acts as a stamp. And so you can kind of shape it. I didn't want to do it that way again. I wanted to do it like I would do bricks. I feel like I'm saying that a lot, but that's how I wanted to do this. So once again, I'm just making the general outline because I feel like if you just see this, you're like, what is he making, abstract art? It'll make sense later. So by the way, this is just the regular number 2 pencil that I had lying around. And that's what I'm using. So I'm just gonna fill up the rest of this board and see what it looks like. It's definitely a bigger piece overall than I wanted to do for this video and for the wall that I needed. I'm almost done. I feel like this is the hardest part as far as like the time consuming. When I made the the main piece, I mean, it has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has like 6 different walls, I think, and including the floor. I didn't do it all at once. I did it, you know, I had a piece like this. I was on the couch watching some football, and I just did like one piece a day. And just like with a lot of the steps here, there might be a million different ways to do this, and my way might be the dumbest to you because you have a better way of doing it. But I really like how this came out, and I think it looks good for what I wanted, like how I want it to look. And then also it's as detailed and as crazy or as simple as you want it to be. And that's where I kind of, like, just off my personality and ADHD, that I just kept going and going and going and carving and oh, let me add this, let me change this, let me weather this up. Almost done here. When I am done, we're gonna be carving out these gaps. This next step is going to be using a knife, which is just a friendly reminder, be careful. If you're not an adult, you know, use adult supervision or ask them to do it for you. I use a box cutter. I got a box of like 50 of these for like 10 bucks or something like that. A little exaggeration, but like I got a ton of these. You can break these pieces off and it's a fresh sharp blade there. And then I also got these little X-Acto knives. Same thing, I think I got like 20 for 8 bucks or something. Really handy tools to have for diorama making. So definitely get a bunch of these. You're gonna be using them a lot with the foam. So I'm gonna be using this X-Acto knife, and what we're gonna be doing here is when we have the horizontal lines, you can go back with the knife and the ruler and kind of go across like that, and then you can use the pencil to expand that gap even further. Because I feel like no one's said this before, and it's like on any tutorials that I've seen. If you haven't worked with XPS foam, because of the way it's put together, I think this one is vertical. So any line that I cut vertically for this, the way I have it positioned, it's going to be like super smooth and easy to go through. But because of that, because the lines are like how it's like put together, if I try to go horizontally, it's going to like kind of tear, which is like why we, like how you get like that gap right there. Because see, I just did the pencil line there, and for this one, I just did the pencil line. But you can see, like, I didn't do anything different. I guess I can go ahead and do it here. So see, if I go vertical, it's gonna be super smooth. Boom. But if I go horizontal here, like you see, I'm doing the same thing, but it's gonna cause that. So with the blade, what the blade does is, if I cut it here, like that, maybe a little deeper, like that, then I can go in here and it helps make that gap for you a little better. That's gonna be huge when making bricks or other similar looking shapes and all that. But for this, I'm not too worried about it. I did do that for my other walls. For this one, I'm not gonna be too picky with that. So I'm just gonna like freehand it, no ruler, and just kind of cut. Because remember, the object here that I'm gonna be doing is, I don't want these to be perfectly square, like almost stone by stone. So I'm just gonna go in, cut like vertically with it, and then cut at an angle, and then kind of get that off there. And then for some of them, I'm gonna be cutting like at an angle, boom, like that. Might be kind of hard to see here, but like I don't want it a flat piece. I want it to look like a rock, almost like a stone that I'm using to build. So cut in the middle and then cut at an angle and shave off like at an angle to kind of get that. So if I do that on both sides here, you know, it's gonna provide like a nice space. I did do most of it, as you can see the difference here versus this side over here. At least you should be able to tell. So the gaps are gonna be wider, not gonna be as square or rectangle. So now we're gonna work on these. One word that I'm not sure if it's accurate or not for what I'm doing, but is to make a bevel cut. So to where it's not a flat brick, it's gonna have like a little edge to it. This can be very time consuming, or it can go by super fast, depending on, once again, how detailed, how meticulous you wanna be. Also, the focus is creating the gaps. So some parts I am not even cutting, I'm just kind of like scratching out of there. Got most of it done. And before moving on to painting, I'm going to do one more technique. It's crazy how many little things I see. This last step before painting that we're going to be doing is, I'm sure you've seen it before, oil. That's the point, is even though we made these not square shapes, like they're still flats. It's still like a flat surface, when like most rocks and even bricks, like this is especially huge in bricks, aren't just flat, like clean flat. So that's where you just roll it. So you can see here, like the texture that it applied versus like no texture. See, flat, textured. And that's just by going like this. See, I can hardly put pressure. Like you can put pressure, you know, you can push it in more on certain ones, certain blocks, but like I'm just rolling it all over. Boom. Look at that. That looks really cool. Even pink. Just make a pink wall right here. So that's how I got this. That's a huge step that I feel like is easy to do, that anybody can do. I mean, I feel like the weirdest thing to get is this foam, but once you get it, like I just used a pencil, ruler, and a knife, and you can make this, and then you just paint it up. It's also one of my all-time favorite tools for diorama making is going to be the metal scribe. And if you wanted to go beyond this as far as creating more destruction, then this is going to be like very useful. I mean, the X-Acto knife can do the same thing. I just feel like this does a better job, and it's easier. It's more, it's just a pin, like you don't have to worry about the actual blade. But if you wanted, like I said, to create more broken stuff, like this was where did I see it? There's a line like right here. Like you can just scratch it off. And it's also really good like for putting like more texture on it. Like if I wanted to, you know, just make a little hole in here. Like kind of peeling that away. It's good at doing like, if you want like broken pieces. Like the cracked lines, I mean. I feel like I'm never good at making these crack lines. I always feel like I want to make a star pattern or something. You can kind of see that one right there, maybe. So now we're going to bust out some cheap paint. Look, $5 for this huge thing. So for this next step is going to be painting it up. Since it is pink and that's not a natural colored wall, I do think it is important to use a dark coat on the bottom. The idea is just for this step is to kind of protect and cover up the pink. Protect the foam and cover up the pink. And also what I do like to do is combine it with some Mod Podge. In a glass jar, I'm just gonna mix a little of the Mod Podge. And I'm going to do black. And so for this, I'm just gonna cake it on. Cake it on, but still like really brush it out, because like you don't want giant blobs of paint all over it, because then you're gonna lose a lot of that detail. And we're gonna let it dry for a little bit. Now that it's dry, I'm going to go over all of it with this pewter gray. You could have just started with that and used the Mod Podge with that. This isn't exactly dry brushing. but it kind of is. So I'm just gonna like layer it on like that. My brush was a little wet. I had cleaned it from the black paint. So that's kind of messing with it a little bit. This is a cheap paintbrush, by the way. I think I got like it's one of the like pack of random ones. I think I got it on at Hobby Lobby, but I've seen them on Amazon too, or Walmart. And because it's a black base coat, this is gonna go on a little bit darker of a gray, which I do like. So it's just a dark gray with this, just to create some more variety and maybe break up some of those cheap brush lines. For the next step, what we're going to be doing is using a smaller brush and using the other colors that I had mentioned before. 49 cents. It's cheap stuff, man. So I'm going to use this. This one's Caramel Carnation. I'll use a little bit of burnt umber, black, and then mixing in some of this Rainy Day Gray. What I'm going to do is paint some individual stones. So I'm not going for perfection. I think the goal here is, one, to create just a different, like a mixture of things, and two, you don't want there to be a pattern. You have to try to mix it up as much as possible, get some different shades and blends with the paint that we're using. I don't worry about being too careful. This paintbrush is kind of beat up, but yeah, I don't like this paintbrush. That brush was hard, so this might be the worst technique you've ever seen. But like I said, I like the results and what I'm getting, and I'm making this to hopefully inspire you. Maybe you can see this and be like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I can do better than that. And for me, that would be a win, because like I said, I'm happy with my work, and whatever it takes to get you to make something of your own, that's what it's all about, baby. Burnt umber. So this one's gonna be dark. Remember, it's a really dark brown. See this one mixed with this, and so it's a little lighter. Do I care? I do not. For that, and now the Rainy Day Gray. And so this is another one of those, I mean, just like the painting I said before, it's another one of those steps where it can be as crazy detailed as you want it, or it can be as basic as you want it. I would say do at least 2 colors. You gotta stay with me. Don't give up on me. Don't say that looks dumb yet. So just to have some even more variety, I have this gray with an E, but I'm gonna mix it a little bit with the Rainy Day Gray. That's cool. I like it. I like it. This guy's not even painting anymore. So I'm just gonna be making a quick black wash. So I'm just gonna dilute a ton of black paint and just cover that. So I got this brush again. You can see you don't want it to be, it's better to be more watery than less watery, because you don't want it to, that's pretty good. You don't want to paint it black again. So just kind of going from the top, It's also where I used my old dishwasher rack, and I was able to, this needs the more paint, too watery. The more layers of this you put on, obviously the darker it's gonna get. And then also the more you let it sit on there and kind of just soak it in, the darker it's gonna be as well. What you could do, like what I would do on action figures, is kind of dab it to knock some of it off. So just gonna let it sit there for a good little bit and come back to do, I think, our last step. So while that one is drying, I did want to look at the arches because that is a little bit different. And for the arches, since it's similar, the biggest difference, obviously, they're bigger. The actual stonework is bigger. And you can see that I didn't want, which is our next step, to fill it in with the wall spackle grout stuff. How I made the arches with my Proxen foam cutter, and this thing, it's one of my newest tools that I got at the end of last year, and it's awesome. I'm not gonna say, oh, you're just starting out, buy it right away. No, I've been doing this for a handful of years now, and I've learned a lot without having it, but now that I have it, it's, you know, it just makes everything easier and better. So I don't recommend it if you're just starting out and you're not even sure if you like diorama making or not, but I'm gonna show how I made these. These are the little jigs that I made. This one's just for flat cuts, and then this one's gonna be for the circles, which it did not come with, and so I really wanted to make that. The main thing is the little toothpick needle on here, and just getting a piece of foam, putting it there, and then you're turning it, and I have this big piece of foam here. And this is where you can get technical with the measurements and all that. I'm not gonna do that for this one. You can either, just do the half circle like I did here with this, or you can do the full circle if that's what you need. You can start from the edge, is what I'm saying, or you need to go in a little bit and then start spinning. I still want to do a different, like a dedicated video. I messed up on this one. So I'm just spinning it. It's a little bit bigger than I wanted overall. And push it away. Boom. So what I had done with the arches was, since I knew two of them were the same wall, like on a sheet, I cut in the middle and then a big circle. So I had the two pieces with the two like when I broke it in half, it was the two walls with the two arches. And then I put those arches on the pillars. Can you do this can you make circles without the wire cutter? Yes, you can. Is it as easy? No, but you can. So don't say, oh, I can never do arches without. I've done arches before, just carving them out. This is way easier. Like, come on, that took me 5 seconds. I do really like this. I do really recommend it. But if you're just starting out, don't feel pressure that you need this. For the pillars, what I did was I used these tubes, and it's not a toilet paper roll. It's not a paper towel, obviously. It's hard. And I'm not sure where I got them from. It might have been something from a package, like some kind of storage or holding something. I really can't remember where I got it. I used that. I think it was a little bit bigger diameter one, because I have a few of these. It's one of my things I collect. And I covered it with some of the same spackle to kind of just give it a little bit of texture. Not a ton, but just to make it not look flat or see any of these lines. So I covered that. And then with the top and bottom, I did a round piece that's made out of foam. And then I did these square pieces that goes on top of that, just to kind of make it look more unique instead of just you know, basic pillar. Then I glued it all together, and the paint is all the same technique that I just did. For the torch, it's a bunch of kind of random pieces that I put together. The stick is a stick. I bought like a bunch of them. I think they were for Christmas from Halloween. I mean, from Hobby Lobby. For here, I thought it would be cool. I did paint it a little to make it look more dark. The top part is from a stamp, like the lid of a stamp from one of my kids' birthday parties, and drilled a hole in it so I can stick the LED through. And then with the LED, it is a blue little LED that I did. Since making this, I got some warm light ones, but this one is like a pure white one, so it really looked blue. So inside the flame, I had I put some clear orange and yellow plastic, and then I painted the little flame orange, which the flame is from tea candle, and it's like, I think my wife had some from Halloween that I just broke apart, and I put the little flame on there. I painted a thin layer of orange as well to really fight that blue light and give it more color. And then my favorite part, boom, baby, it lights up. Well, also the back is painted black. It's just foam that I cut, and the wire are the little two pieces that connect it to it. I kind of just stuffed those in there as well. And so the wire is going through the torch with the light on the end of the wire. So for the lights, I feel like I need to do more dedicated video. I'm definitely a noob for this. For some of these dioramas, I want to start making more electrical parts, and I think that would be super cool. So my basic, don't open up a electrical business based off of this quick tutorial, but I bought this battery pack too that had the two positive negative wires, and I just connected it to the lights, which the light has the two ends also. So once you get the power to it, put the power in it, and it has a switch on it, and that's it. It's as simple as that. And there's ways you can link and chain these together to have multiple ones. And there's a balance of like the power, the output of what your pack is, what the batteries are, because there's like the 2032 circle like button batteries that you can use. And then you have these, you can use 9-volt batteries, but they all have like different power. And so depending on what your receiver and what the light needs to power, it is simple, but it does, you know, like I said, take a little bit of research to look up what you need. But I got all this stuff on Amazon, and boom, boom, boom. I'm proud of myself for that. The last piece that I did not cover yet, and that's a little bit different, is going to be the floor. It's the same technique again, and it's even the same paint for the most part. For this one, I did want it to be a little more brown, so I did try to do more of a brown wash throughout, carving out a chunk, like this whole tile is missing. I did more carving out here to look like it's broken. Even the slivers that I did, like on this one, I had cut it out, and then I put it on another piece, so it looks raised almost, so just kind of uneven. I really like how it came out. Like I think it looks perfect. It's exactly what I was going for. So unfortunately, it's not too bad, but I did make a mistake I got carried away with the other stuff, of leaving on the black wash. So it is way darker than I wanted, but it's still kind of cool. Like there's definitely some variation to the different pieces and the stones. And so that's the ultimate goal, but it's just overall too dark. We're gonna be doing this other step with the spackling paste, and this is stuff I got at Home Depot. There's different ways of doing this, and I've seen like a bunch of different other creators online as far as when to do this, because it's very, it could make or break your wall, especially with bricks and being like the precise lines and all that. And so what I'm going to do is get some, and it's mostly dry. There's still some wet spots in there, but I don't care because it's gonna help kind of dirty this up. You can also mix some paint in here and then use it, and that's another technique in itself. So that way it's not just the white looking stuff. But I'm just gonna grab a good chunk, and I'm just gonna splatter it on there and then just, you know, smooth it out. I've seen people where they recommend waiting for everything to dry completely because if you don't, it's going to remove, or it's going to mix some of the paint, and it's going to get everywhere, and it's not going to be good, and it's gonna mess up your paint job and all of that. Like, yes, that's one way of doing it if you want it to look perfectly clean. I can definitely rush this too much and kind of get too aggressive with the scraping, because you can scrape off, remember, it's still foam. So besides scraping off the paint, you can pretty much, you know, like scratch, like peel off the foam. Wipe some of that off. Like, I'm trying to just like skim the top a little bit. So that looks pretty cool by itself. And you can see it also lightened up some of the black. So it's not a complete loss like you thought it would be. I'm just kidding, like I thought it would be. And then you can still see like the browns come through very well. I like that. Unfortunately, I didn't match it to like that side of the wall, which I was trying to do. It looks almost the same. This one's still a little bit darker because I did the black base coats, and I don't think I did the black one on that one. Either way, like on the wall that's gonna be, it is a little more tan and brown. So I did try to dry brush, you know, for the sake of what we're doing, for the sake of why I'm making it. It works, you know, once again, don't rush anything. I feel pressure like trying to finish it with the video and all that, but no excuses. It's a learning thing, and I still got my wall. And so the last thing that I wanted to show is getting that extra texture like this on this wall. And it could be like moss, it could be weeds or grass. The way I did that was, well, first off, it is this blended turf. I have a green one that I like to use for grass, and then I have this one, this is called Earth Blend, and I like to use that for other pieces, also just to mix with the grass so it's not just straight up green. So I'm just gonna get some Mod Podge and a thin brush. This one was that hard one from earlier that I didn't like. Wants to comment like, that's not how moss grows. Those don't look like vines. I don't know. I don't know what correction you would want to make. If I knew, then I would have been doing that. You know, if you get some on the bricks, just wipe it off. Or if you want it on the bricks, then just keep it. But I'm mainly going for the cracks. But once you do get that done, all I do is just sprinkle this stuff on there. Mod Podge usually dries clear, but your goal is to cover it anyway. So this is gonna kind of get into all those cracks. I'm making a big time mess right now, but just want to show it off. And we're left with this. Or that's pretty much how I did all of the wall. And I put it together. The main thing I use to put stuff together is, I think I use some super glue, but mainly just my hot glue gun to attach it all. One thing I do love using a lot are little clothespins or just pins, just to like stab the pieces together to let them dry. Also, the same technique I did for the sand on the floor. If you do end up making something like this, please tag me in it. I do love, or at least try to share other people's work, especially if I inspired you, because that pumps me up to want to do more. Let me know how it was. If you have any questions, please ask. I'm always here to help, and I can redo something, slow something down, or not make a mistake doing it. Let me know. Just create and inspire.